I'm done with art. I'm not doing art anymore until welcome to my art studio. Not my flamenco dancing studio. That's a secret pipe dream of mine. I've always wanted to be a flamenco dancer, but I'm not from Spain. I've never learned that. Hi there, welcome to my new studio space, or at least that's what I'm calling it. I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna function for me yet. Hopefully you don't hear any of this sound. I have this thing on, so hopefully it will help. It's kind of cold up here. It's not too bad. It's about 53, 54 degrees up here now, I think, which is perfectly fine. That's the main thing about this space is the temperature. It's basically the outside temperature, and in the summer it's worse because the heat gets trapped. So there's this small window, but I really like being in this space. And I'm hoping to at least take advantage and let it inspire me to get started on, I don't know what, because I don't quite know what I'm getting started on yet. But let me flip this around and wheel you around. Well, I have a real treat for you. I found this old sketchbook from junior high, and I did an animated little short video all on my own. And I remember loving this, and it used to be on a VHS. I'm going to photograph this up and put it into a video and show you my little animation video movie thing. So I've now completed telling the story of the girls, and if you weren't around for that, it's linked in the description below. And that mission is completed, and I'm now moving on to a new mission. And I think a big part of the battle is figuring out exactly what that is. I know it's going to be something creative, and I have books in my mind to write, like nonfiction books and fiction books, children's books, and books that are meant for adults. I have paintings in my mind and large scale like art installations and small things, and it's a lot, and I'm just not quite sure where to start. And so I thought it might be a good idea just to come up here and hang out in this space and get accustomed to it and be with my thoughts and hopefully just get started doing something. I'm kind of afraid it's going to be embarrassing. It's probably going to be really embarrassing. It's been a really long time since I've done any artwork. And part of me just wants to go get a big, huge canvas. I typically in the past have worked in quite large scale, and that's just like a big canvas that I can just like attack the thing, you know? And then part of me is like, no, try a different style of painting, like work it out, like do your research, like get stuff sorted first, and then start in like a more orderly way. And I just really not sure what's going to take off. What I really want to figure out is what God's doing with this and step into that. It's kind of an interesting spot to be in. And I think the way forward is just to start doing something, anything, and then just listen. So I think right now I'm basically going to be in an experimentation phase, and it's going to be a whole lot of randomness and a whole lot of back and forth and a lot of like feeling like pulling my hair out and probably a lot of just wanting to quit and give up. This is my first time really trying to get going and create a body of work that's cohesive and really has any kind of intention behind it for a very long time, basically since I became a mother, which I kind of hate admitting because I always thought I wouldn't be the one that would do that. I wasn't the art student who would give up her art after she had a family. That wasn't me, but I guess it turned out that way after all. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that being a mother was the single most transformative experience of my entire life. And I'm still a mother. I still have a 10-year-old. It's not like my kids are old and out of the house. I've got 2 in heaven. I've still got a 10-year-old. I do have a small amount of time where I can pursue this. And I feel like it's enough to step into. I can have a very all or nothing personality. And when I had the kids and they were young, I knew I couldn't do both. I think some people can and some people can do it well, but I knew I couldn't do both. I'm very all or nothing. I'm very singularly focused. And when I had the kids, I knew that I was either going to be a terrible mother or a terrible artist. So you can't give your kids up. So I gave up the art. I remember struggling with it when the girls were young, and I held on to it for a little bit. But anyways, I just got to the point where I knew that for me, motherhood and being an artist weren't compatible. I couldn't just lock myself in a room and paint and brood and experience light cascading and just sort of go about my way, like experiencing life on my own terms, like I had a family to serve. And that's what I've been doing for the past 16 years now. So it's kind of nerve-wracking in a way, picking up something again that meant a lot to me at one point and maybe still means a lot to me. I don't know. I guess the only way to find out is to try and see. And maybe I won't care anymore. Maybe I'll start painting and it will come back void. Maybe what I think might be there won't be there any longer. But maybe it will. Maybe it will be something entirely different. I keep telling myself that I'm a different person now, so my art's going to be different now. And I don't know what that looks like. That day when I kind of made this heart-head decision that had been brewing in me for a long time, but I remember the day I made that decision where I basically said, I'm done with art. I'm not doing art anymore until it's not about me at all and it's an act of worship, and until God calls me back into that again. I remember thinking motherhood is my art and my calling now, and that's what I need to be wholly devoted to now. And I didn't know if or when I would ever feel the calling to go back into art again. I kind of hoped I wouldn't. But the voice is loud enough that I at least need to give it some attention. I feel like I'm wasting time, like I should go get a real job, make some money to help my family. This economy is tough for everybody. I notice the same themes are still there and the images still come into my mind. And I get intimidated when I think about the great chasm between my abilities and what I envision. And I don't know. Maybe I'm going to try to somehow cross that chasm now. Or maybe I won't. That's why I don't even know if I want to put this out there. I would rather figure all this stuff out and come to you with some sort of direction and purpose and plan, but that's not where I am. And it may be a while before I get there. And I started this channel and I feel like it's going pretty well. And I've invested a lot of time and energy into it. And so I don't really want to let it go. And so me struggling to find my artistic footing or voice or path again as a 43-year-old mother who, well, this is a portfolio of stuff from my art school days. Let's see what's inside. I feel like I kind of have to punish myself and like make myself do value studies and figure drawing and all this stuff again. And that's one of the kids' paintings. I wonder whose it was. Clara, 3.5 years old. I mean, I kind of want to do figure drawing again, but in some ways I feel like I need to like make myself go back and like reteach myself my education and fill in the gaps, because it really had a lot of gaps actually, which is kind of disappointing. I'm going to tell you a story about an experience I had as a freshman art student. It was at the beginning of freshman year, and one of the professors, who was very large in stature, kind of a burly mountain man, really sweet man, but when you didn't know him, he had a very intimidating presence about him. And so he came into our class that day, and I remember he had his overalls, his paint splattered overalls on, his big beard, and I think a little ponytail. And he kind of sauntered up to the front of the classroom and kind of puts his weight on one side, and he reaches into his back pocket and he pulls out a checkbook and kind of smacks it across his hand. Then he says, "You must all labor under the burden of creativity." And I'm like, okay, not what I was expecting. And he said, "If you want to make a living as an artist, you have to make something that fills a void, a hole in someone's heart, so specifically that they're willing to reach in their back pocket and take this checkbook out and write you a check to fill the hole they have in their own heart." And I thought, whew, wow, okay, no pressure. When he talked about that weight and burden of creativity, I knew what he was talking about because I'd felt it my whole life. And it's not necessarily that I'm trying to create something to fill holes in someone's heart for financial gain, but it is an artist's job to try to portray how they see the world in a way that means something to the human heart and the human condition. And I think art that means something, whether it means something now or whether it meant something 2,000 years ago, or whether it's one of those great works that has meant and continues to have meaning and significance throughout a long swath of time. My little 18-year-old self hearing this, I was like, oh crap. I'm in for it now. I wasn't ready to carry such a great calling or burden at that point. But I did feel like it was kind of woven through me in such a way that I really couldn't pull it apart and extract it and walk away from it. I would have rather done that. Life would be a lot simpler had I, or if I could still, but it turns out I don't believe that I can. This is your good girl. So as promised, I photographed this little animation for you. You can see my fascination with Spanish dance has gone back a very long time. There's a bird in here somewhere. I wonder where are you?